It began on a quiet suburban street in Phoenix, Arizona, in the fall of 2019, a place where neighbors waved, lawns were neatly trimmed, and the hum of ordinary life masked the dark intentions brewing behind closed doors. No one could have imagined that behind one modest brick home, a chilling story of obsession, betrayal, and unrelenting revenge was about to unfold. By the time it surfaced, lives had already been shattered, and the echoes of vengeance would reverberate for years. What drives a person to pursue revenge so mercilessly that it consumes every decision, every relationship, and every moral boundary? Disclaimer: content is for awareness and educational purposes only. Viewer discretion advised. Emma and Derek had met in 2017. Friends described them as inseparable, their chemistry magnetic, a couple whose laughter could light up a room. But beneath the smiles and social media snapshots lay tension few noticed, subtle manipulations, whispered threats, and a pattern of escalating control. What began as arguments over trivial matters slowly morphed into a web of psychological torment, financial sabotage, and a meticulously orchestrated campaign of intimidation. By early 2019, Derek's obsession had turned lethal. His revenge wasn't just emotional, it was methodical. Friends recall phone calls that turned menacing, unexplained accidents, and messages designed to destabilize Emma's sense of reality. Neighbors reported suspicious late-night visits, doors left unlocked, and car tires slashed, but no one connected the dots until the first real act of vengeance exploded onto the scene. Derek had made it clear: if Emma escaped, he would destroy everything she loved. The case would shock the city, baffling law enforcement and sending ripples through the local community. Emma's attempts to seek protection collided with Derek's cunning strategies, which included false accusations, anonymous threats, and an intricate plan that targeted not just her, but her family and closest friends. The question haunting everyone who knew the story was simple, yet terrifying. How far would Derek go to exact revenge? And could anyone stop him before the consequences became irreversible? Every morning felt like a test of courage, every interaction a potential threat. The story that would unfold in the following months would reveal not only the depths of one man's obsession, but also the resilience, strategy, and bravery it took for Emma to survive the unrelenting grip of a person who would not accept defeat. As the tension escalates, the question becomes unavoidable. When someone is determined to make your life a nightmare, how do you fight back? And what lengths will they go to when the taste of revenge is all they live for? If this story has gripped you so far, comment, "Justice will come." Share this with those who need to understand the dangers of obsession. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and turn on the notification bell. The shadow of Derek's revenge is long and dangerous. What happens next will change everything. The weeks that followed Derek's first overt acts of vengeance pushed Emma to the brink. Every message she received felt like a knife to her chest, some cryptic, some terrifyingly direct, all designed to instill fear. In one particularly chilling incident, Derek left a note in her mailbox, not signed, but written in handwriting only she could recognize. "No one escapes what I started. I will have my due." The sense of paranoia was immediate and suffocating. Emma became hyper-aware of every footstep, every car, every shadow lurking just beyond her line of sight. Derek's revenge extended beyond Emma's immediate life. Her friends began receiving anonymous messages, her emails were hacked, and her social media accounts flooded with accusations that painted her as unstable and dangerous. It was a campaign designed to isolate her, to ensure that no one could come to her aid without fear of being caught in Derek's web. Family gatherings turned tense, friends withdrew, and the walls of her life seemed to close in. This was no longer just about anger. It had become a strategic, calculated war. Law enforcement initially struggled to intervene. Derek's tactics were meticulous. Alibis, anonymous threats, and manipulation of digital traces made it difficult to pin down his actions. Investigators described the situation as psychologically complex, a case where every small act of harassment was part of a larger, sinister plan. But Emma refused to be a passive victim. She documented every threat, every intrusion, and every attempt at intimidation, building a record that would soon become vital. By mid-2019, the situation escalated to a point where friends feared for Emma's life. A neighbor witnessed Derek lurking outside her home at night, vanishing whenever approached, leaving an eerie sense of presence behind. Inside her home, doors were checked obsessively, cameras installed, and locks changed repeatedly, yet nothing felt secure. Emma realized that Derek's version of revenge was about control, about proving that he could infiltrate her life at any moment, leaving her powerless. But just as the tension peaked, Emma uncovered something Derek had overlooked, an inconsistency in his pattern, a moment of carelessness that revealed a crack in his meticulously constructed plan. It was a small window, but it offered a glimmer of hope. Could this be the opportunity Emma needed to turn the tables, to reclaim control and break free from the unending cycle of fear? Or would Derek anticipate her every move and escalate his revenge to an even more dangerous level? The question loomed large. When the hunter becomes the hunted, who really holds the power, and at what cost? If this story has gripped you so far, comment, break the cycle, share this story with those who need to hear it. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and turn on the notification bell. The battle between obsession and survival is far from over. What happens next will leave you questioning the limits of vengeance. The discovery of Derek's one small lapse gave Emma a fleeting sense of control, but it was tempered by the knowledge that any move she made could provoke him further. She began a careful counter-strategy, documenting every interaction, every suspicious moment, and secretly gathering evidence that could expose him. This was not just survival. It was the beginning of a mental chess game, a psychological battle where one wrong move could cost her everything. Derek, oblivious to her newfound vigilance, continued his campaign with the same calculated cruelty. A series of anonymous packages arrived at Emma's workplace, containing harmless but unsettling items, photographs from her past, objects from her home, each one a reminder that he knew her life intimately. Co-workers began to whisper, unsure whether Emma was the victim or somehow involved. The stress began to erode her confidence, yet within it grew a quiet determination. She would not be defined by fear. Emma reached out to a private investigator, someone specialized in stalking and harassment cases. Together, they traced subtle digital footprints that Derek had thought invisible, uncovering a pattern of behaviors, locations, and contacts. For the first time, it became clear. Derek's actions were not random. Every act of revenge, every intrusion, every message followed a precise, obsessive logic. He was orchestrating a narrative where he alone controlled the story. And Emma's challenge was to rewrite it without exposing herself to further danger. The tension escalated one late evening when Emma returned home to find her front door ajar. Inside, the house was undisturbed at first glance, but the chilling message written on her kitchen chalkboard sent a wave of panic through her. "You can hide, but you cannot escape me." The combination of audacity and precision signaled Derek's increasing boldness. He was no longer just punishing her emotionally, he was testing her boundaries, probing for weakness. Amidst the terror, Emma realized the importance of leveraging community and technology. Security cameras were placed, neighborhood watch alerted, and friends became allies in her vigilance. What Derek wanted most was isolation, but Emma was determined to counteract that, to turn every connection into a shield against his obsession. Yet, she had to remain strategic. Any sign of overt aggression could trigger the next stage of his revenge. The looming question now became impossible to ignore. Would Emma's meticulous planning and evidence gathering be enough to confront Derek directly, or was she merely prolonging the inevitable escalation of his wrath? Could someone so consumed by vengeance be reasoned with or stopped before the cycle of terror reached its breaking point? If this story has gripped you so far, comment "End the cycle." Share this story with those who need to hear it. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and turn on the notification bell. The line between predator and prey blurs further. How far will obsession drive a person, and what will it take to survive the final act? The weeks that followed felt like a tense, unending standoff. Derek's calculated harassment evolved into an unpredictable game of psychological torment. He knew Emma was documenting everything, and in response, he began leaving clues that were almost taunting in their precision. A forgotten jacket in a cafe, a note slipped under her car windshield, a message coded within a mundane text, Each incident reminded Emma that he was always watching, always anticipating her next move. Emma's nights became restless, filled with fear and hyper-awareness. Yet, in the darkness of anxiety, she discovered her own resilience. Every call to the police, every consultation with her private investigator, every moment spent analyzing Derek's patterns honed her mental defenses. She realized that surviving Derek required more than vigilance. It demanded strategy, patience, and an unwavering refusal to be broken by fear. The private investigator uncovered something chilling. Derek had a network of digital aliases and contacts that allowed him to surveil Emma without detection. He was meticulous, calculating, and frighteningly resourceful. But this knowledge empowered her. By mapping his network, Emma began to anticipate his next moves, predicting the locations he might target and the moments he might strike. The predator, she realized, could become predictable, and that predictability was her weapon. One evening, while reviewing surveillance footage, Emma noticed a pattern in Derek's movements, a signature he could not fully conceal. He returned to the same location near her office on multiple occasions, leaving subtle traces of his presence. The realization sent a shiver down her spine. Derek was escalating. He was no longer content with remote intimidation. He was preparing for a confrontation that could end in irrevocable consequences. But Emma refused to give in to despair. Using the knowledge she had painstakingly gathered, she coordinated a tactical plan with law enforcement. Every detail was calculated: routes, timing, contingencies. She would face Derek on her terms, not his. The preparation transformed her fear into focus, anxiety into empowerment. She understood that the cycle of revenge could only end when she asserted control over the narrative, when she forced the confrontation that Derek had been orchestrating in shadows. The question now loomed larger than ever. Would Emma's courage and strategic planning be enough to finally neutralize Derek's obsession? Or would confronting him directly ignite the ultimate act of vengeance he had been building toward all along? He was meticulous, calculating, and frighteningly resourceful. But this knowledge empowered her. By mapping his network, Emma began to anticipate his next moves, predicting the locations he might target and the moments he might strike. The predator, she realized, could become predictable, and that predictability was her weapon. One evening, while reviewing surveillance footage, Emma noticed a pattern in Derek's movements, a signature he could not fully conceal. He returned to the same location near her office on multiple occasions, leaving subtle traces of his presence. The realization sent a shiver down her spine. Derek was escalating. He was no longer content with remote intimidation. He was preparing for a confrontation that could end in irrevocable consequences. But Emma refused to give in to despair. Using the knowledge she had painstakingly gathered, she coordinated a tactical plan with law enforcement. Every detail was calculated: routes, timing, contingencies. She would face Derek on her terms, not his. The preparation transformed her fear into focus, anxiety into empowerment. She understood that the cycle of revenge could only end when she asserted control over the narrative, when she forced the confrontation that Derek had been orchestrating in shadows. The question now loomed larger than ever. Would Emma's courage and strategic planning be enough to finally neutralize Derek's obsession? Or would confronting him directly ignite the ultimate act of vengeance he had been building toward all along? Could the cycle of fear and retaliation truly be broken, or was she stepping into a final showdown that would define both of their lives forever? If this story has gripped you so far, comment "Break the Chain." Share this story with those who need to hear it. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and turn on the notification bell. The stage is set, the players are in motion, and the tension reaches its peak. Will justice prevail, or will obsession triumph in the shadows? The confrontation that Emma had both feared and anticipated arrived on a cold, gray morning. Derek, emboldened by months of evasion and psychological games, had slipped into her building, confident that his plan was flawless. But Emma was ready. Law enforcement was discreetly positioned, and her own courage had become a weapon sharper than any blade. Every step she took was deliberate, every movement calculated. She had turned the predator's obsession into a blueprint for his capture. The encounter was tense, almost cinematic. Derek froze when he saw Emma waiting, calm, resolute, and entirely unshaken. There was no panic in her eyes, only the quiet fire of someone who had endured months of torment and emerged stronger. The brief moment of hesitation was all the law enforcement team needed. They moved in swiftly, surrounding him, cutting off escape routes, and finally bringing the man who had haunted Emma's life to justice. In the aftermath, as the adrenaline faded and the chaos subsided, Emma realized the full weight of her journey. Months of fear, sleepless nights, and relentless anxiety had been transformed into clarity and power. She had not only survived Derek's vengeance, but had also reclaimed her own life. The realization was sobering. The cycle of revenge can seem endless, but with courage, strategy, and support, it can be broken. Yet even in victory, questions lingered. How had Derek's obsession escalated to such terrifying heights without anyone noticing? How many others had suffered silently at the hands of someone consumed by vengeance? Emma understood that while her personal ordeal was ending, the story of obsession, revenge, and the fragile boundary between fear and empowerment is far from rare. It is a reality that demands awareness, vigilance, and moral reflection. She also reflected on the personal cost: trust shattered, peace stolen, and an innocence tested beyond measure. But there was triumph too: the reclamation of agency, the assertion of boundaries, and the unshakable understanding that survival is an act of courage and resilience. Emma's journey was a lesson in endurance, a warning about the depths of human obsession, and an inspiration to anyone confronting darkness in their own life. What remains for the audience to ponder is chilling yet vital. Can obsession ever truly be contained, or does it merely wait for another opportunity to rise? How far would you go to protect your life, your peace, and your sanity against someone determined to destroy it? The answers may lie not in fear, but in preparation, strategy, and the refusal to let darkness dictate your destiny. If this story has gripped you, comment "Justice Prevails." Share this story with those who need to hear it. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and turn on the notification bell. Every story reminds us that courage, vigilance, and strategy are often the only shields against relentless obsession. This is Crime Chronicles TVc, your daily dose of real crime stories. Stay tuned for more gripping tales of justice, betrayal, and survival that will keep you on the edge of your seat.